Chapter 8, Riding Hell for Leather. The sky over southern Indiana was a low slate lid when Calder and Mo slipped ahead of the main body. They'd been riding all day, the July heat long gone, but the dust still hanging in their mouths. Out front, the road bent and dipped through oak scrub and damp creek bottoms, every turn a chance for pickets. Calder kept his eyes moving, left hand loose on the reins, right resting on the butt of his colt like a reflex. Mo rode a half length behind on Frog, sitting tall and easy, eyes scanning the ridges. He had the gift of silence. No jingle from his gear, no heavy breath from the horse, just a lean shape gliding through twilight. Between Scottsburg and the river, the land flattened into a patchwork of cornfields and woodlots, the sort of country where a man could ride 20 miles and never see more than a lantern in a window. "Columns strung out," Calder said quietly. "Morgan's letting the men bunch up too close. They'll read us like a map if there's scouts out of Salem." Mo didn't answer at first. He swung his head toward a stand of cottonwoods where a crow broke out of the branches and flapped away into the gray. Only then did he speak, voice low and steady. "You can feel it. They're jumpy back there, all that galloping north, no clear plan. Horses are thin, men thinner. They don't know whether they're raiders or refugees." Calder almost smiled. Mo's words matched his own thoughts exactly, but said cleaner. "You think they'll break before the river?" "They'll try to cross in a rush. That's what I do. Gunboats will be waiting." They rode on in silence another mile. Twilight deepened, the land flattening into river plain. The smell of water came on the wind, silt and willow, faint tang of fish. Somewhere far off a whistle blew, thin and high, and Mo reached into his saddlebag and pulled out a small bundle wrapped in oilcloth. "Been meaning to give you this," he said, handing it over. Calder took it, curious. Inside lay a bone flute, carved with a pattern of tiny chevrons and dots, smooth from handling. It was the size of a man's finger, light as a feather. "Where'd you get this?" "My grandfather made it. Seminole camp, long before they took me. He called it a whistle for the spirits, said it cuts through noise when nothing else does." Mo looked out across the darkening fields. "Figured you might need it more than me now. You ride with ghosts." Calder turned it over in his fingers, feeling the fine work, the history of it. "I don't know what to say." "Say nothing. Just use it when you have to. It carries farther than a shout." For a moment, Calder felt a weight shift inside him, as if the flute itself was a token of some pact larger than either of them. "Thank you," he said simply. They reached a rise where the road dipped toward the river. Below them, lanterns flickered in a long line, the ragged shape of Morgan's column stretching like a wounded snake toward Buffington Island. Men were dismounting, milling, some already hunkering down by fence posts or lying on the ground with their saddles for pillows. The air was heavy with sweat, smoke, and the low mutter of hundreds of voices. Across the river to the east, a dark bulk moved against the lighter water. Calder could just make out the low silhouette of a gunboat easing into position, no lights showing. Another shape farther downstream. The trap was closing. "Stovepipe Johnson's already across," Mo murmured. 300 on the other side. The rest, they're hesitating." Calder's jaw tightened. Morgan should never have come this far north. Kentucky's one thing, Indiana's another. Now Ohio's got him hemmed in. "Not our call," Mo said. "Our call is to sleep with our boots on." Mo woke with a start. The sharp whistle of a gunboat on the river cut through his sleep. He rolled out of his blankets, daylight already spilling across the camp, and kicked Calder with his toe. They were a little way from Morgan's main column, but from where they stood, they could see men throwing saddles on weary horses, trying to get across the river as the gunboats drew closer. Calder and Mo slammed their own saddles into place, jerked the cinches tight, slid rifles into scabbards, mounted up, and headed for the water. It was chaos. They had just pulled up when a lieutenant, the same one who had eyed Frog the night before they reached Salem, rode up and barked at Mo, "Give me that horse. I've got rank and I need a mount to get across with my men." Mo froze, glancing at Calder from the corner of his eye. The officer was already right in front of them. "Hey, Indian kid," the lieutenant snapped. "Give me your horse. Belongs to the army, not you." Mo pulled Frog's reins back tight, backing up a couple of steps. His voice stayed even. "Lieutenant, I'm not giving up my horse." The officer started forward. "Damn you." Calder already had his Colt Navy out, leveled, the hammer back. The lieutenant stopped cold. "You take another step," Calder said, stone-voiced, "and I'll blow you to kingdom come. Don't touch the kid's horse." "You're going up for court-martial, Rook," the lieutenant shouted. "You're disobeying a direct order." Calder didn't lower the pistol. "Go get Morgan," he said sharply. The lieutenant turned and stomped off. Calder eased the hammer down, looked over at Mo. "Time we peeled off." They swung their horses around, put spurs to their mounts, and cantered into the timber. The road gave them a good clip for the first 2 miles, putting distance between them. They dropped into a creek, rode in the water for 300 yards, then climbed the far bank and broke back into a canter. Mo looked over at Calder. "I appreciate you backing me," Calder grunted. "Wouldn't want to lose my horse, even if you're the one riding him." Mo met his eye. "You've let me ride him a long stretch. I know he's yours." Calder glanced back over his shoulder. Mo was half a length behind. He shook his head. "He was," he said quietly. "Not anymore. Frog's yours." Another quarter-mile and Frog came up even with Gypsy. Mo reached out and tapped Calder's shoulder. "Thanks," he said simply. Calder didn't even look at him. He just gave a short nod. "You're welcome." 2 days later, the road softened under their horses' hooves, and familiar country rose up around them. The sun had slipped low by the time they turned in at the Rook Lane. A pair of cottonwoods framed the drive, their new leaves trembling in the breeze like green coins. Beyond them lay the house, weathered clapboard, lamplight already glowing in the kitchen window, and the long, low barn Father had built before the fever took him. After weeks of smoke and mud, the sight of it made Calder's throat tighten. It smelled of home, hay, damp earth, and something warm from the kitchen that he couldn't name yet. Rosalie was already on the porch when they rode in. She shaded her eyes with a flour-dusted hand and called out, "Well, look at you, brother. You finally decided to come home." She was only 17, but carried herself like someone older. Apron tied crooked, hair escaping its braid, a half smile that tried for scolding and landed on relief. Calder swung down from the saddle and kissed her cheek. "Good to see you, Rosie." "You too." Her eyes flicked to the stranger on the buttermilk gelding. "And who's this?" "This here's Mo," Calder said. "He's been riding with me a spell." Mo dipped his head, shy under the weight of her look. "Ma'am?" "Don't ma'am me," she said lightly. "I'm not your elder yet. Supper's near ready. You two best see to those horses before Mother starts fretting." They led the animals toward the barn. Frog's ears twitched at the scent of old hay, and Gypsy, Calder's blue mare, 6 years old and still sharp as a pin, tossed her head like she remembered the place. Inside, the barn was cool and smelled of wood smoke, sweet clover, and leather oil. Dust motes floated in the last streaks of daylight falling through the loft boards. Calder showed Mo where to hang tack, then stroked Frog's neck until the gelding's breathing slowed. "He's 5, Calder said quietly. "Good heart. Carries you true if you give him his head." "He's steady," Mo said. "Best I've ever sat." Calder smiled faintly and gestured toward the last stall on the right. "Come on, I want to show you something." At the end of the row stood a buttermilk dun mare, 9 years old, thick through the shoulder and calm as a Sunday morning. She lifted her head when they approached, eyes the color of wet bark. "This is Frog's dam," Calder said. "Raised her here. She's thrown 3 foals I know of that could run the hills and come back sound. Frog's the best of 'em." Mo ran a hand down the mare's neck with a kind of reverence. "She's a beauty. Looks like she's got miles left." "She does. Father used to say you judge a horse by the quiet between its breaths. This one's got quiet enough to last a lifetime." They stood there a moment listening to the horses shift in their stalls, the soft creak of wood and the steady crunch of chewing. Outside, a robin sang its last notes of the evening. Mo lingered in the stall a moment longer, hand resting on Frog's neck, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. "Easy, boy, easy." He glanced at Calder, eyes dark in the dim light. "I've never had anyone give me a gift like this," he said quietly. "Not a horse, not something worth this kind of money. Folks take or they trade, but they don't give." Calder leaned against the rail, thumb hooked in his belt, watching the younger man stroke the gelding's shoulder. "You gave me a bit of your heritage," he said. "That whistle's older than both of us put together. Horses are what I have. Seems right we trade what's ours." Mo nodded once. still stroking Frog as if to be sure he was real, and for a heartbeat, the barn was only the sound of horses chewing and the smell of sweet clover and leather oil. Rosalie's voice carried from the porch. "Supper's on the table." Calder gave Frog one last pat, then Gypsy, who was already nosing into her hay. "All right," he said. "Let's eat before Rosalie comes down here herself." They walked back toward the house, boots brushing through the grass, the barn door swinging shut behind them with a low groan. The lamp in the kitchen window burned brighter now, spilling gold across the yard. Inside would be bread, salt pork, and coffee, Mother's steady eyes, Isaac's questions waiting. Calder felt the weight of the road slide off his shoulders, just a little, as he reached for the doorknob.